Assalamu alaikum. Lesson 6. Subject is Qada wa Qadar. And we have 2 more short lessons, this one and the next one. And we will go on, moving on from the subject of Allah's knowledge to the subject of Kitaba, Allah's writing every deed. Today I'd like to approach something very serious that's very important that you know it, because there's so much misunderstanding. It begins with an ayah. And I will read to you this ayah, and then I'll read it to you in Arabic, and then I'll translate it. It has to do with what some have called the subject of magic. But it is not really magic as we know it. And this is why I want to elaborate, clarify. This is from Surah Naml. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلما جاءتهم آياتنا مبصرا قالوا هذا سحر مبين. When our visible signs came to them, they said, this is sihrun mubin. If you read the English translation, it will say magic. And also other areas, other verses, other places in Quran, everything is magic, magic, magic. Now, if you're in the Middle East, as was the case in many societies in the past, people believed in magic as in uncontrollable power that can be somehow foisted upon you by evildoers. Let's just make it simple. And some places now, they always blame the mother-in-law, sister-in-law, oh, they're doing magic on me. And as an American, we grew up not believing in magic. It was called sleight of hand. And many I know loved magic shows, and I know my brothers, we were 8, and most young people, at least in the 50s, 60s, they would actually get games and magic tricks and card tricks, etc., etc. I never was interested. However, when I lived in Egypt and I kept hearing about all this sihr, 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 and this one left his wife, and this one, fought over something violently. Oh, he's mashoor. He's mashoor. So mashoor means bewitched. So I took it upon myself to tackle this subject, because I love Tawheed, and I only believe in one power. So I don't think that Almighty Allah is going to do something that's going to put us at the mercy of others. Let's put it that way. So I thoroughly went through all the verses in the Quran dealing with the subject of sihr, sahir, sahirun, mashoor. We're getting, into the story of Pharaoh. We're getting into the story of divorce. We're getting into the story of things that aren't pleasant. And this was after I had learned Arabic. And so then I asked a friend, a Quran teacher, a good friend of mine. I said, what is with this magic that everyone here is so obsessed with? And she said to me, because most Egyptians are mashoor, mashoorin. And I said, no, don't tell me you believe in this too. And she said, do you know what mashoorin is? It means they don't know Allah. They don't study. They don't seek knowledge. They don't pray. Therefore, they are mashoor. Now, this person did not know English at all. And my Arabic at that time was, not like it is now, let's put it that way. So I thought about the concept. Could that be why the country is so poor, disorganized, and the only real value that I could ever find out there, other than the beautiful Mediterranean and the lovely Nile was Quran, and those who taught Quran, and the masajid, the beautiful masajid with prayer, constant adhan, everything, lessons in the masajid. Egypt to me is religion. But when you see those who don't care, which is the majority, no, you don't want to live in Egypt. So that led me on to a quest. And I made a great research, not great as in I'm magnifying my capacity, no, a long, intense, arduous research. And I will give you the upshot. The meaning of sihr, that's translated as magic, is يلبس الحق بالباطل والباطل بالحق. This is a very basic description that I found in Maqayis ibn Faris, the oldest dictionary extant of the Arabic language. And it means portraying something as true when it is false, and portraying something as false when it is true. Without further elucidation on that concept. And I thought, well, that's enough for me. Could this be an illusion? That somebody's mind is playing tricks on them under the influence, of course, of satanic whisperings, which is always the root cause. And Allah has allowed this as a test and a trial to give you a fitna, as we know the meaning now, and to give you an ibtila', and we know the meaning of that also, a severe trial and a cause of strife. Well, does that mean it's real? Not real in that it can affect you in and of itself, but that it can affect you through your weak heart and your low level of aqidah, which means knowledge of Allah and His mighty names and attributes. That's sihr. And that is what I believe we should be teaching more of. We should be teaching more of what's called al-ma'ani. Al-ma'ani means meanings of the words, because I feel we are in dire need of understanding Quran the way it was revealed from Al-Alim, the all-knowing Allah, not just to be recited and memorized without any depth or awareness of al-ma'ani. So that's my point of view, and that's what I've been spending the last 20 years doing since I started to learn Arabic. Now I'm 72, as you all know, and I'm asking Allah to give me time, because there's so much more to do. And I'm an American. I once had a sheikh say to me, Islam is going to be victorious by and through and with America. It was not an Arab sheikh. And I said, how can this be? America doesn't like Islam. He said, because it's ard al-khisba. In Arabic, that means it's fertile land. Fertile in that something can grow there. And I still didn't understand, and I said, what do you mean? And he said, there's freedom there. All Islam needs is an open forum. Majal al-hur. And believers. And I said, oh, believers? Well, I don't think there's that many believers in America. Now, I'm speaking to you now of what he told me, 25 years ago. He said it only takes a few. I said, what do you mean a few? A few hundred? A few thousand? He said, no, a handful. Those words stayed with me because I studied history. My bachelor's, master's, PhD was all history, and I love history simply because I love ideas and I love humans. I love societal phenomena and how the world turns by Allah's will. But after you know about Allah's will and how He chooses people and how everything's preordained, everything's qadar. So, from Allah's knowledge, He's decided what will happen, when, where, why, and how, and with whom, by whom, through whom. Allah leaves a lot of inhabitants of His slaves in dalal, misguided, wayward, believing in the most atrocious acts of magic. I don't even want to go through it here. It's so disturbing, and I'm fasting, and the iftar is in an hour. But living in Egypt for 20 years, it taught me so much wonderful knowledge of Quran and Arabic and Sunnah and fiqh and seerah and hadith and the jewels of Islam. But it also allowed me to witness great sorrow due to the ignorance of the people. But Allah never gives you anything that you cannot bear, number one. And He doesn't give you anything that you don't deserve. I once asked that great sheikh why the women have it so hard. And he said, Allah knows what they deserve. And I said, no, sheikh, don't say that. They're carrying the gas ambuba, it's called, the gas canister on their head, and their husband's asleep. This isn't right. They're washing the cars in the morning in front of the homes of the wealthy, and their husband's asleep. They're oppressed, sheikh. He said, no, they are not. They don't wash and pray, and they do not seek knowledge. And I said, no, I'm sorry. What do you mean seek knowledge? They don't even have enough schools in Egypt. They have 100 in a class, and they sit on the floor, and they don't have desks in the poorer areas. And these women and their husbands come from the poorer areas to work in the mansions of the rich. He said, no. Allah knows what they desire and what's in their hearts. And the Egyptian woman is going to be free when she turns to her Creator, the Almighty Allah, and pays attention to what she knows she's been told to do. And it starts with the prayer. Well, that was many years ago, and I have to say, I really didn't get it. And I thought, you men, you're never going to cut us a break. You don't know how hard it is for these women, having all these children and just getting no support. Well, now I've seen the tide turn, and I've seen so many of these women getting educated, running after Quran memorization, dressing properly, that's another big one. And I know that the victory is near because people are beginning to pay attention. Assalamu alaikum.